Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Katie and I'm so happy to have you here. So in today's video, I'm going to be trying out a bunch of new to me DIY techniques. These are things that I have seen other people do in the past and I've always wanted to try them but was a little bit too intimidated by them. So I decided to finally just give them a go. So I'm going to link my original inspiration for each of these down in the description box. So if you want to try them out for yourself, you can see where I got my ideas from and kind of like the tutorials that I watched to get these techniques down. So I'm going to be showing you a marbling technique, some macrame coasters, and also some just like faux aged pottery, which looks really cool. So let's get started. So marble decor was really popular a few years ago, but it was more of the classic white marble. And this year I'm seeing a lot more of like the bold marble choices. So greens, blacks, pinks, just a lot of different colors other than white. So I remembered seeing that you could create like this faux marble effect using paint. So I decided to make some black marble coasters. For the actual coaster, I'm using these tiles that I got at the hardware store. You can get these for super cheap, so you can get a bunch of them, and you're going to want to paint it one solid color to start off with. So I'm using this flat black spray paint that I've been using a lot lately. So this is what it looks like after it's been spray painted and dried. The next thing you'll need is acrylic paint, and I'm using white acrylic for the marbling pattern and then a very thin paintbrush. So to start off, you'll take your paintbrush with a little bit of the white paint and just really lightly drag it over the top of the surface that you're painting on. So you want to kind of create like this marble veiny pattern that you would see on an actual marble surface. And if you mess up, it's no big deal because you can always either wash it off or redo it. Next, I took a sponge brush and dipped it in some black paint mixed with a little bit of water. And then I started to sponge that over top of those white lines that I had drawn. So you're going to kind of blur them out and blend them into the surrounding black paint. So once you've gone over each of those lines, then you can go in with a little bit more black paint mixed with water and cover the rest of the coaster so that everything sort of blends together, but you'll still see those original white lines standing out a little bit more prominently. So this marbling technique is all about layering. So the next step is to go back in with your paintbrush with a little bit of white paint. Just wait for the previous round to dry a little bit, but then you'll recover those white lines with more white paint. Then repeat that second step with the sponge brush and blot them with a little bit of that black paint mixed with water and blend it all together. And as you can see, this area kind of got too watery. The white kind of disappeared, so I just redid it again and blotted the sponge brush over it. So after a couple of rounds, I really liked the way that it looked, so I just picked it up and let the wet paint kind of blend into each other a little bit more. I just tilted it so that it would kind of all swirl together, and then I let it dry, and I think these turned out amazing. I've really wanted to try making macrame coasters for so long, but this was one of the ones that I was definitely intimidated by just because of all of the measurements and the different knots, but I found a tutorial online that was really good, and then I actually saw McKenna from XO McKenna recreate the same tutorial as well on her channel, so I was like, all right, I'll give this a try. So I'll link both of those down below. The first step is to cut out one 5-foot piece of macrame cord, and then I also cut out 5 more cords that were each 30 inches in length, and I can list all of the measurements down below and the original tutorial. So now I've got my 5-foot cord, which is going to be the holding cord, and then my 5 pieces of cord that are 30 inches each. So taking that longer holding cord, I twisted the end into a loop, just sort of like around itself, not tying it or anything like that. And then I took one of the 30-inch pieces and I folded it in half and I slid it under that loop, and then I pulled the ends up through it and pulled it tight. This is called a cow hitch knot or a reverse lark's head knot. Repeat this step with the other 4 30-inch cords. So you're just going to keep folding them in half, looping it underneath that other loop on your holding cord, and then pulling the ends tight until you've completed it with all of the cords that you've cut that are 30 inches. Once you've done that, then you're going to pull on the longer end of your holding cord, and you'll see all of your other pieces kind of come together in the middle like this. Okay, so taking your holding cord, you're going to find the piece right to the right of it and bring it underneath your longer holding cord. Then you're going to take the shorter piece and create a 4 shape over top of your holding cord. Then take the end and pull it underneath the holding cord and then pull that tight. Once it's pulled tight, you're going to take that same cord you were using before, make another 4, bring the end under the holding cord and pull it tight. And this is called a double half hitch knot. This is the basic knot that you'll be doing for the entire coaster. So you're going to keep taking whatever cord is to the right of your holding cord and crossing it underneath, then making that 4 shape over top and pulling the end through and then pulling it tight. And then you repeat that one more time with the same cord to complete the double half hitch knot. Continue this process all the way around until you get back to the point where you started. You'll see it starting to come together like this, and you might notice at a certain point when you get through the first round that there's a big gap between your holding cord and the next little cord to the right. So what you can do is cut a smaller length, like about 26 inches, fold it in half, and then do that cow hitch knot or the reverse lark's head knot that you did in the beginning around your holding cord, and then just pull that tight. And that's going to help you to bring that gap together, and then you can just continue on as you were before. You can add more lengths of cord like this anytime you feel like there's a big gap. So just cut a shorter piece and then do that cow hitch knot around the holding cord and it'll close the gap a bit. Continue this process until the coaster is about the size that you think you'd want it to be. I think I did about 5 or 6 rounds of this. Once you're happy with it, you can take your holding cord and just push it through the front of the coaster, through one of the little spaces that should be there, and then you can pull it through the back and just pull it tight, and then you can cut that because it'll be nice and secure, and you can just trim it to the length of all the other ones. So you're gonna wanna trim all of these down a little bit, so it's maybe like 2 inches long. So I'm just trimming each of my cords so then it looks like this. And the last step is to fray all of these. So I'm using this just like old eyebrow pencil comb, and it worked really well. You can also use a pet brush comb. I've seen people do that too. You're just gonna comb through the macrame cord until it becomes unraveled and kind of looks like fringe on the outer edge. And then it looks like this. I think this is so cute. You can use it as a coaster. You can make it bigger and use it as a trivet. I'm using it as a candle holder, but I really love it. Okay, this last one is a trend I've been seeing going around where you kind of create this aged rustic pottery look. So I found a tutorial online that involves using dirt, and it seemed pretty simple and the outcome looked really cool. So like I said, I'll link that down below. But basically I got a vase that I had picked up at the thrift store a while back, and I really, really love the texture of it. But I don't really use silver in my decorating, so I figured I would paint it. And again, I just used this matte black spray paint that I've been using a ton. So once it's been painted, you're going to take some dirt, and you want it to be slightly moist, so just add a little bit of water to it but not too much, and rub it all over the outside of the vase. You can add as much as you want. You can kind of play around with this if you want to test it out and see the style that you like, I guess, depending on how aged you want it to look. And then you'll let that dry overnight, and then take a dry rag or paper towel and just wipe the dirt off. Again, as much or as little as you want to give it sort of that aged rustic look.